Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 2. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy. I'm happy to report we are still here on campus at Purdue. Students are still here. Random testing is going on. And so each week we're just happy. So this week I don't have slides prepared. I just kind of want to talk about in general what the readings cover. And then I got a really good question about what the quiz or the exercises cover. And then I also want to talk about the final project. So this week in your book, you are reading chapters. And I wrote this down. Is it chapter 5? Hmm. 5. I just wrote this down. 5, 9, and 10, I believe. But basically, chapter 5 talks about polling and sampling and this idea of how do we know that we can take information from a small amount of respondents or a smaller amount of respondents as compared to the population, and how do we know that that's actually going to apply to other things. And I would say one of the more challenging parts of doing research is how do you really get a random sample? And if you can't really get a random sample, what are some techniques and strategies around that? But also to acknowledging what those are. So, for example, if you are trying to see how a certain message is impacting your audience, you might want to know, well, who actually respond? If you just post one of those pop-up surveys like after on Facebook, who are the people that are doing that? Is it your average user? Are they representative? And then the next chapter, probably one of, I think, in addition to the statistics, one of the most useful chapters in the book is the one on survey design. And so, because we all take surveys a lot, it can sometimes feel like it might be really easy to come up with a survey, like, oh, here's what we want to know. But as you'll see, there's a lot of mistakes you can make in wording your questions, asking leading questions, double barreled questions, just things about like the order of questions that are really going to influence the results that you get. And there's a real skill to designing surveys. And I think this is a good overview and can really help you see some of those pitfalls of like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. And the next one talks about experimental research. I would say in the communication field outside of academia and really within academia, experimental design tends to be the least often used just because it has to be so controlled. So, you have a group here and you have another group and you expose them to a certain message and measure the impact of that message, but there's no intervening factors and those kind of things. So, a lot of the market research that we're doing is not experimental, it's more pre and post test, it's formative. So then for the quizzes, each week's exercises, and I'm sorry, it never crossed my mind to clarify that. So I did write a little description under exercise 2, and I'll continue to do that each week. This week, the questions are just based on the reading. Obviously, open book. I mean, you do get one attempt, I guess, so I would read first. But it's just asking just to make sure you understand the basic terminology, random sample. I would say bolded words tend to be kind of that thing. And if you ever in a situation where you're like, I answered that and it was weird, I didn't understand, just shoot me an email. The goal of the exercises really is just to help you kind of process through the information from this book and demonstrate that you have a basic understanding of it. And again, then the ultimate goal is how do we use this information and apply it, which brings me to the final project. So I'm going to see if I can change this mode and share my screen with you. Let's see. I don't think so. Oh, anyways, okay. Well, it's okay. So if you go into our course and you look at the first week's kind of folder right there about this course, you will see a description of the final project. And basically what that final project is asking you to do is look at survey data that was collected here in the Lamb School. This is real survey data. And you are going to look at that survey and do some analysis as we learn more and more, and based on that, make recommendations for the problem that is presented. So after you watch this video, there's another video that I'm posting this week, and that explains how to use the software remote function so that you can use SPSS online, because I'm assuming most of you do not have it loaded onto your computer. If you do, that's great. Otherwise, it's a fairly expensive statistical package that I would not invest in unless you feel like you're going to be using it long term past this class, but you can get it for free. I am going to show you how to do that and show you how to download the data set in the SPSS format. You can also, if you go into About This Course, there is the survey questions, a document you can look at. So you can look at kind of what corresponds to what you're seeing in SPSS. So this week, you'll have a discussion question, and that really addresses this issue of polls and statistics and what they really mean. And I think this is especially relevant given that we're in the middle of a campaign season. Just the other night, a headline caught my eyes. It said, Donald Trump is breaking the polls. And basically what it was talking about is when President Trump won 4 years ago, sort of defied expectations. And it has made people really doubt polling. So even though current polling has Joe Biden far ahead in several states, the general consensus, most people think that Donald Trump will win because of what happened. So, and again, and it talks about, okay, where is the margin of error and who are they talking to? Is it likely voters? Is it registered voters? Are they using cell phones? Are they using landlines? Like, how are they getting this information and how representative is it truly? So I will see you on the discussion board. Again, I think just using SPSS and getting into it remotely can be a challenge. So if at any point you have a question or we can set up a meeting, we can set up a Zoom meeting where you can share your screen, and if you're having trouble getting in, just to walk you through. So I just don't want the stress of just even getting SPSS to be any kind of barrier to you as you work. So have a great week.